I wanted to talk to everybody about just some things that I realized when it comes to tics. First of all, the head jerking tics suck. But aside from that, it's almost Christmas. I think this will probably be my last recorded video before the new year comes up because I'm going on a trip. I was doing a lot of cool things the past 2 weeks. I don't typically go out and hang out with friends, but I did cookie baking with some girls from my school Bible group, and then I went to a Christmas party the other week, which was actually a literal birthday party for Jesus Christ. It was very interesting and it was crazy. It was actually really nerve-wracking because I was going to be in a room, like a 10 by 12 room with 30 people that I didn't know. I realized while I was there that it's not exactly very awkward for me. It's more awkward for the people who see my tics because they don't know how to react. So it's really awkward for them. Like, I mean, me, I've lived with it every day. So I'm used to it, and so is my family and my friends. You know, they're used to it. They each have their own way of reacting to it. Some of them make jokes, which is cool, and I have a couple people I know who ignore them completely, which actually, for when it comes to those two, I love it, like, because it's like it never happened, which is really cool. So it doesn't interrupt anything we do. But when it comes to new people who don't even know me, when it's time for them to react, they're not really sure. They're just like, they're afraid, they're kind of nervous of like saying the wrong thing, or like, should they ignore it or should they acknowledge it? You know, it's really hard for them. And I just thought it was interesting to think of it that way, like think of it from the receiving end. You know, we're always like emanating tics, we're giving off tics, we're ticking every day, day in, day out. Doesn't matter how good we feel, how bad we feel, it's gonna happen. But for them, you know, it's sometimes a once in a lifetime encounter to come across somebody with Tourette's. So how does that person react? How are they supposed to react? And the way that they react affects the way that the ticker feels. And they know that. They know that alright. I mean, some of them are ignorant, but most of the time they're people who are just afraid of doing the wrong thing because they know it's going to just fall back on the person who is having the embarrassing tic. So, moving outside of my point of view, their point of view, when I shout poke or people or even the word fire, I say fire a lot, what would you do? Would you go, what was that? Would you say, what the heck? Or, like, how would you react? Would you, like, kind of just, like, sort of, like, pretend that you're not staring and just be like, I'm not staring at you. Wait, what is she doing? No, nope, I'm not staring at her. I'm not staring at her. I'm staring at her. You know, like, I mean, most people are like, what the heck? But, you know, it is really awkward for them. The really important part about spreading awareness of Tourette syndrome is not to help the Touretteer, but to help the people who see the Tourette's. Help them learn how to react. These days, you know, you see a person in a wheelchair, and at least where I live, it's normal. Like, you see people in wheelchairs, like, at least a few times a week, if not once a day. And it's become normal, especially because a lot of people with physical disabilities go to public schools, so kids are sort of exposed to that. And what if everybody in this world could accept that? What if everybody in this world could learn how to react to a tic? What if everyone in this world could see somebody who tics as normal. That'd be pretty cool. And I think that's what we're all aiming for. Spreading awareness would help people treat it as though it's normal. They would treat it just like they would treat somebody with autism as normal, because that's become something popular that everybody's aware about, because everybody's being taught about autism, everybody hears about it. Same thing with ADHD, and what else? Cancer. That's another thing we've all learned how to accept in our society, because it's common, in fact, these days now. It gives you something to think about. I mean, we keep saying we're spreading awareness, and people are like, oh, you just want to bring more attention to the Tourette's people. Honestly, my point of view, spreading awareness is pulling attention away from the person who tics, so that you don't have to stare and wonder what's going on, because you already know. It's not a freak show to you. It's just, oh, well, that person tics. La-di-da. You know, I'm going to get on with my day. It's not a big deal. So, really interesting perspective there. And this holiday season, I hope that those of you who have tics and you meet up with your family that you don't get to see very often, I hope that goes very well for you, and try to think about them. And, you know, don't be so offended if they react in the wrong way, because they really don't know how to react. And if they ever have a question about your tics, like, can you stop it or whatever, they're just being inquisitive. They're really not trying to offend you, unless they say it in a very mean way. But, you know, just think about them, because it's really weird for them. I guess that's it. Well, if this is my last video for this year, 2009, you are gone. Welcome 2010, and happy holidays. See ya. But the past 2.5 weeks, I've been doing that I was doing that a lot. Yeah. So, several things. And, I mean, have to get over that, I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, or something. I mean, like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend I'm not staring. But, you know, it's, that's kind of like the really important, I'll tell you, fire. But it gives you something to think about. And so, you know, I mean, pushing, and I was like kind of nervous, you know, so, Merry Christmas, and a happy holiday, and I hope y'all have a fabulous one. 2009 is gone! And I was like kind of nervous.